want to be a millionaire so flippin' bad. You know that song. All of us as sales professionals, we probably dreamt of that before, where we see ourselves earning a lot of money. But many of us are stressing about money. Actually, we found out in this episode about 90% of us are stressing on a day-to-day about money. If we go with that mindset, how is that impacting our sales? Today, we're going to talk to you about this strategy, and our guest is going to give you a framework that can help you make more money, to be less stressed, and to be more productive as a seller. You're going to love it. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have a fantastic guest, and I think you all are going to absolutely love this guest and love the episode. It's all around making that framework to help us make millions. Like, just really think about that. That's possible. When I first started off in sales, I had this limiting belief because we came from a very poor background, and I had a negative outlook on money. Like, we can't afford this, or that can't be something that we can get, or, this won't work for us or whatnot. And on today's episode, my guest, Dr. Darnyelle Harmon, is going to be able to break down and share with you some of the things that she has seen, a framework that's helped her and her clients to be able to close large deals and to help sellers like you and me to make six figures. It's absolutely amazing. You're going to love this episode, and it's going to be amazing content that you can apply and share with your team. If this is your first time listening to our show, please go ahead and subscribe and share it with somebody else. And if you've been listening forever, I would love to hear from you. What keeps you coming back? Episode like this one, go ahead and let me know on Instagram at Donald C. Kelly. We do have our LinkedIn prospecting course. And if you're looking for a way to be a part of a cohort, a group of sales professionals that can help you to be able to improve your sales game, I want you to check that out. Find all the details below and join us for the next one. Let's dive into the episode and let's learn this framework and see how we can change our mindset and to become more successful. Dr. Darnyelle, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Don.
I am super pumped to be able to pick your brain on this topic. For many of us who are in sales, I mean, we recognize right now, like, a 5-figure deal is good, but you need to get some large deals, those 6-figure deals. And there's a way that you can go about doing that and to sell effectively. And I'm excited to dive into your framework. Prior to that, though, I'd love for you to take a minute and talk to us a little bit more about what you do. You have an amazing book and you have an awesome community and a platform. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I am Dr. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. I run a company called Incredible One Enterprises. We work primarily with business leaders who desire to get to millions, whether we're talking selling millions more dollars when they work inside of an organization or they have their own company and they want to be making millions of dollars every single year, ultimately to become $1 million CEO. So our work meets at the convergence of business growth strategy, talent development, and leadership development. Our approach to sales is one that encompasses leadership and talent development, as well as money mindset, money consciousness, and neuroscience, because we recognize that the way that an individual sees themselves is also going to impact the way they see money, the way that they lead, and the way that they sell. And so we like to take an approach that allows us to be different in a sea of sales trainers and consultants to get to the heart of the matter that is impacting the sales leader and will ultimately help them to boost their sales KPIs.
I think one area there, there's so much in this that we could go into, Dr. Darnyelle. Like, there's a bunch of pieces, and this could be like 10 million episodes, at least like 5 different episodes there. But the one component that really struck me was that mindset and the way you think about money. I think for many sales professionals, that is a big hang up because even when we said it today, like at the beginning about $1 million or making millions of dollars, I'm sure a couple people, thought about, well, yeah, that's just hyperbole, or that's just like some clickbaity stuff. But no, this literally can happen. And I think it starts with a mindset. So why don't we dive into that? Talk about the frame. Maybe you can outline the framework, and then we can take a time and go into each of those components, and then
Absolutely. Yeah.
have some fun with that.
Absolutely. So just to start off and just to reiterate, as a salesperson or as a leader of salespeople, the way your people see sales is about the way they see themselves and the way that they see money. And no matter how much they are selling for you, if they would shift the way they see themselves and money, they'd sell more.
Mm.
And that brings us to the sell millions method. So we've got 5 pillars that we cover inside of this framework. We first look at strategy. Strategy is getting clear on the solution we're providing to the problem that the client has been unsuccessful at solving on their own. We're looking at the scripts that we utilize, making them as natural and authentic as possible, the sequencing that we use for the sales cycle itself, and the structure that we put in place around the sales strategy that we're implementing. From there, we move into sales. And here specifically, we're talking about our sales tools and our sales KPIs that we're leveraging in order to increase our conversions. Then we're going to build the right sales systems for every phase of the sales cycle. Then we're going to make sure that we are training and developing the sales team, our support. And then we're going to round all of that out by spending as much time as we possibly can talking about success mindset. So by
Oh, super
integrating
spooky.
success mindset in every single pillar, in strategy, in sales, in systems, and support, we make sure that we're always dealing with the way your sales leaders see themselves. And so one of the things I always share, Donald, whenever I have an opportunity to talk about money and sales, is a little something I like to call your inner 7-year-old.
Mm.
So from birth to the age of 7, who we are is formed. So when we are born, we come into this world as abundance, and then we meet our families and we're introduced to lack and fear and all the things that flower and grow with us as we grow. Now, more often than not, because at 7, who we are going to be as adults is completely formed, and we spend the rest of our years replicating that cycle, whatever that first 7-year pattern was. So, if I was taught that you have to work hard for money, and money doesn't grow on a tree out back, and money is only for what you need, if I'm attempting to go and be a salesperson with that belief around money, it's going to impact how I show up to the person on the other end of that conversation, what I say, how I overcome objections, what I do to get them to understand that they have a problem that we can solve, and offer them a solution to that problem. Everything hinges on the way that I was first taught about money and the way that I see it, no matter how old I am today. If I haven't learned how to radically dismantle those limiting beliefs, because we all have limiting beliefs around money, even when we come from money, the way we see money still impacts the way we show up as leaders in the organizations where we work every single day.
Go back to that part where you said even if they come from money, why is that component? I know you answered it a little bit there.
Yeah, so even when you come from money, you're subject to what your family wants you to know about money.
Mm.
And typically, even when you're wealthy, your family is wealthy, you're still taught you have to work hard for money. You're still taught that money is taboo and we don't talk about that out in the world. You still have those core meanings around money which flower who you become as you become an adult. So it doesn't matter. It's almost if it doesn't matter whether you were poor or you come from wealth. That money consciousness is the same, because most people treat money as if it's something that we should be ashamed of, right? The foundations of our country are religiously based, right? Most people believe the scripture that is often misquoted, that the love of money is the root of all evil. That's actually not what the scripture means, but we misquote it nonetheless. And as a result of desiring not to appear evil, we look at money as something other than what it truly is, and it impacts how we relate to it and how we relate around it. And that's just human psychology. So one of the things that makes us different when we go into these organizations and work with sales teams is that we're dealing with human psychology. We're dealing with the beliefs they were given about money, and we're shifting them. We're shifting the paradigm around the way that they see money, which is why we watch sales results increase dramatically. Same process that you taught them to sell through the lens of understanding who they are and what money is, it produces an entirely different result.
It's so fascinating to hear and to see that from the way that we think side of things, and it's not even about your products yet, which is the first pillar, but
Right.
going into that, like how talk about that part for a second, the solutions component, as pillar one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that the sales that convert are the ones when you understand the problem that your ideal client has, or ideal customer, depending upon the size of the organization and the industry that we're talking about, the problem that they have been unsuccessful at solving on their own. So if you're a financial services company and your product is credit cards, the problem that your customer has is that they need access to credit in order to live better, get access to the things that they really want, and they don't have that. So that's why they're coming to apply for your credit card, right? And that's just one example. So it doesn't matter so much what the solution is. We all offer the solution to a problem. So we've got to first understand what the problem is that our client has and be able to present our solution in a way that it's going to make it an option of self-selection for our client or our potential client. If they don't know that we can solve this problem for them, then we're not getting the business. But if we're able to show up and use our marketing and our messaging in order to appeal to the problems that they have with the solution that we can provide uniquely for them, then we will get the business, right? So once we understand that, and you have to know the product frontwards and backwards, you have to know the features and the benefits. Now, the features are not what you lead with in a sales conversation, because features confuse, they overwhelm. Instead, we want to focus on the benefits, right? So what's in it for you? Because every single consumer in the world, they all subscribe to that frequency, WIIFM, right? What's in it for me? What do I get out of getting involved with you and your product, right? The solution that you bring to the table. So when we're able in sales conversations to speak effectively to the benefits and what we have to gain from access to the solution, it makes it easier for us to be able to turn that conversation into a conversion and bringing on a new client or customer.
Oh, come on, man! I love it. It's just truth. Most people go back to that, and I think it's very easy for us when we have, especially like technology that we sell, or our company has some unique selling feature. We tend to focus on that feature rather than, again, what's the output for the customer. What am I gonna use? How is this gonna help me? What problem you have for me? What problem you could solve for me? And one thing I discovered recently, especially with like content, I find that many people, HubSpot CEO mentioned that sales leaders or executives, 44% of them discover new solutions and products on social media. That was fascinating. Then I started going deeper down this rabbit hole on, as we're looking at how are we bringing value to the community. And what I noticed is that most buyers, there's only like a small percentage, you and I both know this, that's ready to buy right now in your
Correct.
your
Approximately
market space.
3% are ready to buy right now.
So three. So then now you have everyone and the mom out there who are trying to do sales and do cold outreach. They're going after like 90, the whole 100% of the pool, and throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that a 3% can get it. But what I found, I don't know the exact number, but within that 97%, a majority of those people are always open to learning something because they have problems that we all have problems, like no matter who you are, whatever your problems might be. So but what the sellers need to do is become more teachers, because the buyers, again, are willing to learn. So therefore you need to become teachers. And the way you teach is going back to what you're saying with these benefits, right? What are some of those benefits that you can teach me that I didn't know that I could acquire by doing X, which so happen is using your product? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there's just so much to that. Oh my goodness, it's so good.
Yeah, and just to shake right while we're here, right here, I want to double click. So if we look at our market as 100%, right? 3% are ready to buy right now. 7% they are considering making a buying decision right now. 30% know where we are when they're ready to actually solve that problem. 30% are not interested in having us solve that problem for them. And 30% don't even know who we are. So there is an amazing opportunity to really hone in and shifting your language for each percentage of people. The way you have to show up in the sales conversation, or even before the sales conversation, to get to the point where they are becoming aware of who you are, is going to be significantly increase that they will take the next step when you use an education-based messaging approach.
Come
So
on.
you're right on right there. Like,
Come
we've
on.
got to use education-based marketing if we want it to turn into a sales opportunity. If you're not taking the time to educate them on what you've learned about their problem, how you know it's their problem. So talking about and describing the symptoms and the scenarios they must be in right now if they have this problem, with a level of urgency and to what's waiting for them when they actually get the solution to this problem, then you are going to leave opportunity on the table if you're not showing up that way.
Love it. Love it. Oh my goodness. Let's go into the next one, because I think there's so much here we can go on for days. The sales tools component. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
so
that.
the sales tools are going to vary depending upon your industry, right? So for instance, if you are a financial services company, your primary sales tool is probably going to be the phone.
Mhm.
So you're going to have inbound and outbound representatives on the phone all day. Some are going out to find opportunities. That's your telemarketing arm of your business. And then you're going to have a customer service or a repository where people are calling back in from messages that they've seen. You may also have, as a potential sales tool, advertising. So whether we're talking about banner ads on the internet or commercials on the radio or advertising on TV, those are the starting point of the sales conversation. And that's a key indication in your sales tool, which then culminates into where the conversation actually takes place. It's not likely, but it might happen that a sale might complete on a website without any interaction, depending upon the number of times that your potential customer has actually seen your marketing and your messaging in the marketplace. I'm hearing right now it's going to take on average 7 hours of them consuming your content and 11 touch points before they're ready to take the next step. So what does that mean? That means there needs to be lots of education-based content being disseminated in the marketplace in various ways, right? So some of that is going to be through leveraging the power of social media, whether we're talking about shorts, we're talking about long form blog posts, we're talking about a podcast that your company has. All of those mechanisms go to the impressions that it takes before the end user will actually opt into your primary sales tool. So you're going to have both secondary sales tools and primary sales tools that are going to be dependent upon your industry and how you primarily get in touch with your client or customer.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So and what you're talking about here, I mean, as you go back and you're sharing this, I'm going back in my mind. I'm thinking about some of the stuff that we've done, and we see some of the the most successful companies out there do. It really comes down to that type of content, that educational stuff. And I feel that many salespeople feel that they don't necessarily need to do that. That marketing is going to do it. You got a brand and you have an
Right.
identity in a space. You need to show up. And I agree with you there. Love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that the ones who don't have to educate are like doctors. They
Hmm.
don't have to educate, right? Like but the majority of us, the lion's share of us, need to spend some time in education. And
Yeah.
how deep you go is going to be determined by who on the spectrum of the potential client is your client, right? If you start with the person who's brand new and just getting started, how you're going to educate them and what you're going to need to say is going to be way different than the person who is at the point where this problem is now wreaking havoc in other areas of their life and they're ready to do what they have to do to get the solution. So it's going to vary, but you need to have a scale of content. We teach our clients to make sure that they have a content calendar that really does go through every potential sector of their ideal client population so that they're getting people where they are, because it is going to take a period of attempts and interactions and impressions before I'm ready to say yes to you. You want to make sure that you're meeting me at every single one of those points along the continuum.
Talk about the sales system, because I think that goes naturally right into the next component,
Oh,
next pillar.
absolutely. So systems make your sales predictable. The more you can systematize it at every level. And when I say systems, I'm meaning one of three things. Number one, I'm talking about your standard operating procedures. So the way that sales become predictable, once you have dialed in all of the various components of the sales process. So you're crystal clear on your ideal customer. You're crystal clear on the marketing and messaging mechanism that you want to use to get in front of them. When you do this thing every single time, you get a boatload of new prospects, right? So once those elements are clear, then you want to dial them in by writing out the standard operating procedures. That then just becomes the Bible, the rubric, the blueprint that every person within your sales organization is using anytime they're interacting with any part of the sales process. So that's standard operating procedures. You also, secondly, want to look at the software or the systems, the sales forces or the CRMs or the automation tools that exist in the marketplace that you are using in order to help to offset the human error that will naturally happen inside of a sales process. If everything is being done manually, then you're going to leave some money on the table. So the rate at which you put the right software in place is the rate at which you can increase your sales conversion. And then the third part of systems is really identifying, once you have the standard operating procedures and you have the software, where are the opportunities to automate? Where can you take the human element out of it, right? So for instance, if you work in a call center, there's not someone in the background that's feeding the phone numbers of who you're calling to each person individually. There's a software that's being used that has already done all of the work to prospect and weed out the bad numbers, so that every single time I hear that beep, there's a potential for a person to be on the other end of that phone, so that I can have maximum productivity and not waste my time trying to see if I can find the next person. So identifying the automations as well as the software and the standard operating procedures for every phase of the sales cycle. So from the point of prospecting, from the prospecting to making that first contact, from the first contact to, if we don't get them to the sales tool in the first contact, setting up the follow-up mechanism. Once we actually present them with the option to solve their problem, automating our follow-up until they say yes to us. And every phase of that, we want to look at the SOPs, we want to look at the software, and we want to look at the opportunities to automate.
Oh, come on. You're like singing music to my ears. It's so good. But it's true though. Like I remember like some of the having some of the basic systems in place, we had opportunities come through that were like we never dreamed of before, because it was just like the system just kept working, and people were exposed to our stuff, and then they came into the pipeline and the team was able to have conversations with them. But if you try to manually do that stuff, it's waste. And I feel that many of us, obviously some of the sellers may have rev ops in their company, but especially if you're a little small organization, you don't have that. And if you're an entrepreneur, you definitely most likely don't have it. And you're trying to, you're trying to wonder why you're not seeing those increases. If you want to behave, if you want to get the money like the big companies, you need to behave and do some of those practices that big companies do. And that definitely includes some level of automation.
Yep. Agreed. Totally agree.
Oh, did I lose you there?
I always say small minds don't close big deals.
Ooh, one more time for the folks in the back.
Small minds don't close big deals.
A to the man on that. All right, let's go to the last two, training, and then we wrap this up with the mindset components.
Yeah. So your support team, identifying the right people to help you as a part of the sales process. If you're listening to this episode and you are a sales leader, then you already know, right? The people that are on your team, your team is only going to be as strong as your ability to develop your people. I remember when I worked in corporate America, when I most of my career, I was an analyst, so I wasn't actually managing the efforts of others. There was a point in time where in my mind, I thought it would be great to go out to the floor and manage some of the people. And I did. And they gave me a team of bad news bears. Like I had the representatives within the organization that were on plans for success, that weren't achieving their goals and objectives. And a big part of our work was to sell and to cross promote some of the other products that our company made available. Well, when I got this team, one of the things that I did was I first and foremost got really clear about where every person on the team was. Your team is only as strong as the person who needs the most help. Right. So once I did that, I developed a curriculum and I started to train my team on how to become more effective in their positions every single day. Well, nothing interesting happened. Exactly what you would expect happened, because we were spending time catering to and identifying the opportunities for them and developing them in those areas. Eventually, my team of Bad News Bears became the department's top performers. And so
Interesting.
the amount of time and attention that you dedicate to your people is going to determine your ability to experience sales conversion at the next level. Your people need to be developed. And the moment that you take your eyes off of developing them, you cannot just put them through your general training and send them off in hopes that they will, kill all the spoils and make you lots of money. You're going to have to develop them on a monthly basis, maybe even on a weekly basis, right?
Yeah.
It's going to depend on the product that you're selling. Looking at the results that are coming in every single week, and based on that, determining what the training for the team meeting for the week is going to be, so that you can watch those numbers consistently change. That's a big part of the support. And then the other part is making sure that you develop people and get them to shift the way that they see themselves in money, which is going to take us into mindset, right? So money is an energy that most people do not understand. And so we're asking people, if we look at statistics, something crazy like 57% of people live paycheck to paycheck. That's like nationally, something crazy like that. It might not be that exact statistic, might be a little bit less. Actually, no, I'm wrong. It's higher. 60% of adults
60%.
live paycheck to paycheck. 60%.
Wow.
So that means the people that are selling in your organization, they live paycheck to paycheck. So that means that they don't understand money. It means that they don't have a strong relationship with money. And these people are the people who are responsible for getting your customers to buy more of your product and service in exchange for money. Ooh, that's a bad place to be.
Bad.
Right. And it's what infuriates me, Don, is that although the way you see sales is about the way you see money, corporations don't want to spend money teaching people about money mindset.
Yeah.
They don't want to train their people and develop their people to shift the way they were taught about money. So we see 60% of adults who are living paycheck to paycheck. Or how about the fact that 43% of adults are financially illiterate? And as a result of that, they don't understand money enough to sell in a way that empowers them and your prospective clients. 92% of your employees right now are stressed about their finances.
92?
92%. This is according to Fast Company, 92%. Yeah. And in 2021 alone, employers lost $4.7 billion per week because their employees were experiencing financial stress.
Yeah.
These are the people that are operating in your sales teams.
Yeah,
if you took the time to teach them financial literacy, to help them shift the way that they see themselves and the way they see money, not only would they sell more for you, but they would be more positive, productive, cohesive employees, which would allow you to reduce the amount of money you're losing because you're not training and developing them in this way.
My goodness. Whew. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot there with that. And I think there's, we could go on for days on this. There's so many components to it. So I think that wrapped up into the mindset component there. Like the conclusion I'm getting from this is that if you are not understanding, if you have a fear of money, if you don't understand how money works, if you don't necessarily, if you're ignorant towards this, then how in the world can you like really, really help somebody make it an investment that's going to be in their best interest, that's going to solve a problem for them? It's going to always default to, well, they can't afford it. And that's why I always find with salespeople, like, it's too cheap, it's too expensive, we need to cut the price. It's always never the price. There's a way
it's
around
never the price. It's what you're saying or not saying. That's why you're not closing. So if you would shift what you're saying or not saying by listening, by taking the time to do a detailed profile on your potential clients, things could shift.
Oh, I love this, man. Love it. If there's a way that folks could get in touch with you to get your book, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Yeah, if you go to movetomillions.com, that'll help you to get connected with me wherever you might want to reach out to me. Movetomillions.com is where you can get all the details.
We are so truly grateful for you and for your insights, for the stuff you brought today, and for helping us to show up and to change our mindset. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
That was Dr. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and connect with her. I love her book. I love the concepts she shared. And for many of us, we can just make these simple little tweaks and see such a radical improvement in our performance. I want to let you know that you have the capabilities to being successful. And what it takes for you oftentimes is nothing complicated. It's just you making a mental shift. Amazing things can happen. I'd love to hear how you like this episode. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Donald C. Kelly or on Instagram at Donald C. Kelly. Tell me what you love about it. Also, let me know if you'd like to join our next LinkedIn prospecting course. We're going to be breaking down, giving you strategies and ideas of how you can make sure you're generating at least 3 appointments per week from LinkedIn without spamming. Would love to tell you all about that. Find more details down below. Go ahead and apply. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. You got to make sure you check out the book that was mentioned today in the episode. Everything is in our show notes. I want you to be able to 3 to 5x your sales pipeline. I want you to be able to double your close rate. I want you to be able to make $1 million. I want you to enjoy these things. But most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. See you on the next one.